Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Casually Fit podcast. My name is Rob. Thank you for stopping by today. It is episode 31. And yeah, I hope everything's going good for you. It's Wednesday. If you're listening to this as soon as I release it, which I would urge everybody to start listening to this on Wednesday because I want to get pumped up. I want to pump you up for the rest of the week. So some of these episodes are going to be more geared towards that Monday morning. So keep that in mind for next week. But this week, we're just going to roll with it just like the usual, okay? I got a few things I want to talk to you about today. I want to show you a fit fighter. I want to show you that person who's out there just getting after it, who's just already lost weight. This week's person has lost 80 pounds. That's insane. So I want to get into that. I want to show you this person. But I also want to talk about the 12 things that you should never say to someone trying to lose weight. I agree with some, disagree with others, and it might get a little spicy, a little dicey on the things that I'm talking about. People might get angry, so I apologize in advance, but we'll get into that here in a little bit. And then I want to show you, lastly, quickly, just a fit freak of the week. This is somebody who is just pushing their body to the max, and it can just show people who are out there, maybe they got a long road ahead of them, you got to lose some weight, but it'll show you that there's somewhere else that you can go after it. It's not just about losing weight. If that's all you want to do, great. But you can also lose weight and then try to become super crazy fit if you want to. And you can just see what the body's capable of. And, you can try to do that possibly. So that's what I just want to show you as well. But before we get into the Fit Fighter of the Week, I do want to just let you know about this week's sponsor. Yes, Casually Fit Podcast has a sponsor. It only took 31 episodes, and it is me, all right? It's the Lift, Run, Stretch brand. It is this whole thing that I'm trying to do, creating articles, which you can go to Medium if you want to check out the articles. This is where it's more coherent of the things that I want to talk about. So you can go read those articles. You can go on the YouTube channel. Obviously, some of you are listening to this on Stitcher or Apple Podcasts. But the sponsor is the Lift, Run, Stretch whole umbrella. And you can go to liftrunstretch.com. And there's now live today, just opened up Monday or Tuesday. It is a membership program. So within the membership program, there's some workout programs for you. They're geared towards people who want to lose weight, who haven't been in the gym a while. And this is going to be an ongoing, growing list of workout programs and other things in there as well. My main goal with it is to make it's $10 a month. My whole goal with it is to make you be like, $10 a month is an absolute steal for all the things that I have access to within this membership program. So that's my goal. It's going to be continuously growing. So whatever you sign up for today, it will inevitably be much more than that. I'm talking 4, 5, 10 times more things that are useful and beneficial for people will be within that membership. I just got to create all these things. So that's the sponsor. So if you want to, use those workout programs, you want to try them out, just go check that out if you want. Or if you want to support this podcast, this whole thing that I'm trying to do, which is just bring awareness, bring some information to people on how to be healthy, lose weight, all that good stuff. It's kind of like maybe like a Patreon thing. You can look at it as being a member. There's also going to be a one-time, at least right now, a monthly or a bi-weekly specific podcast for that as well. You can also ask questions, and this is the worst ad read ever, which is why I'm not reading it. That's why it's the worst. I didn't think about this before I sat down. But anyway, go check that out if you want, liftrunstretch.com. Let's get into the rest of the episode. So, again, it is bright and hot in here. I'm sweating. Enough of that. So the Fit Fighter of the Week, again, this is somebody who's out there just killing it, right? This is somebody who said, hey, I got to lose some weight, all right? I don't know what I got to do. I don't know what brought me here, but I got to lose some weight. And that might be you right now, right? You might be thinking that, like, man, I got to lose some weight. I got to get out there. I got to start exercising. I got to change my diet. And maybe you go talk to a doctor. Maybe you already went into like a 24-hour fitness. You talked to a personal trainer and you found out your BMI. Maybe you found out your actual weight. Maybe you just haven't weighed yourself in a while. And the personal trainer or the doctor or the online forum or the online form or whatever you use told you, hey, you got to lose somewhere around 60, 80, 100 pounds, whatever it is, 40 pounds, whatever it is, don't matter. All right. Don't get too crazy about it. But, if one of those things told you, hey, you got to lose some weight, especially when you're talking, 60, 80 pounds, it can seem almost like you can't do it. It can seem impossible. You can be like, what? How is this going to happen? I got to lose this weight. I got to change up my entire diet. I got to start eating less. I got to exercise now 5 days a week. You got all these things that you have to do. And you're just like, you've been in this body the way it has been for a while. Gaining weight is not an overnight thing, right? Just like losing weight isn't either. So you've been in this body for a while, so it can kind of seem like near impossible for sure. And that's why I want to bring you the Fit Fighter of the Week. Every single week you come to this podcast, I will have a new person here to show you who is on that journey. This person isn't necessarily going to be somebody who has completed their journey. This is somebody who has just started and is either, somewhere around the mid-range of it. And this person this week is Britta _and_the_beast. All right, super long Instagram name. Just go to Britta and the Beast on Instagram. Go check her out. Also, before I continue, screen recording last episode. Of course, if you've been listening to this podcast, you know that the screen recording software is my arch nemesis, and they punched me in the face last week, right? So I uploaded an episode. Everything looked good on the editor, but apparently the screen recording was transferred over and somehow turned blank. So this week is going to be a little bit different. Everything I talk about and show you, it might not sync up right away because I'm going to screen record everything later on, not right now. But I can now scroll through and show you a bunch of things, and hopefully it links up good in the podcast. Most of you don't care about that stuff. I'm learning, right? It's 31 episodes. I need probably, at least 10 to 20 more before I can learn a couple more things to not annoy you. But either way, if you go to Britta and the Beast on Instagram, you'll see who I'm talking about. She has lost 84 pounds so far. She went from 300 pounds to about 215 pounds right now. She started back in 2017. So again, this is not, losing weight, losing 84 pounds. It is not an overnight thing. If you're looking at, the future, again, this is partly why it kind of seems impossible, is because you can look ahead and be like, oh, shit, I got to, this is going to take a while. This is going to take, it's not going to take a month. It's not even going to take a quarter. It's not even going to take half a year. It's going to take a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, even longer after that. Because first, you got to lose the weight, right? And most people want to lose the weight as fast as possible. So however long it takes you to lose the weight, that's one part of the journey. And then there's the other part, which is, okay, how do I maintain this weight? How can I stay around this weight for the rest of my life? And usually if you're doing some sort of crash diet or you're doing some sort of crazy diet that's not sustainable, then you're going to have you could possibly have a huge, weight loss, but then you can also have another huge weight gain. There's actually a statistic, I forgot the number, so I won't say it, but a bunch of people actually regain more than what they lost. So that's obviously an issue. So there's a couple stages along this whole thing. And this is why following somebody like Britta and the Beast is great, because one, she's online, she wants you to talk She wants you to follow her, talk to her, ask her some questions. She mainly just uses Instagram to show you her weight loss success. She talks about the certain things that she's gone through and going through right now. And this is where it helps you, is because if you're just starting to lose weight, Britta and the Beast, whatever that means, is already, 4 years down the road. She's 4 years ahead of you, right? So many of her issues and obstacles and things like that, you're going to come across some similar ones as well. It might not completely be a carbon copy, of course, because everybody's different. Everybody starts from different place for different ages, weights. There's a whole bunch of different things, but there are some certain things that will come up. Like one thing would be how to deal with, a little bit, because usually when you lose weight, there's some excess skin. So talking about that, obviously you're going to want to hear about that whole process and everything that comes with that from somebody who has currently already dealt with it or is currently dealing with it right now. So things like that is going to help. If you are struggling with getting started, I mean, that's a struggle that everybody goes through, right? If getting started was the easiest thing to do, then, how could so many people not start, right? There's so many people that haven't started and they refuse to start over and over again. So it's not an easy thing to do. And if you're wondering how somebody was able to probably not just get started once, but get started multiple times, this is where you can follow Britta and the Beast. So go check her out. Fit Fighter of the Week. That name is also sticking around. If you've been listening to this at all, you know that I was not happy about the name Fit Fighter, but now I kind of liked it. I actually named the membership program on the website Fit Fighter Membership. So, just goes to show you, maybe just let some things stick around. But let's get into this next part of this episode this week. And when I was writing an article or creating a video, one of the two, I came across this article and I read a couple things on it and I was like, oh, I gotta save this for later. And I wasn't gonna write another article on an article. I just figured, hey, maybe I'll just put this on the podcast, and instead of doing a tip, I'll just go over these 12 things, or maybe not all of them, or maybe rush through a couple, but 12 is a lot, so I'm going to try to keep it kind of short. But just go over it here on the podcast, which is what I'm going to do right now. But first, before I should preface this for anybody who doesn't know, which most people don't know, is I guess you should know a little bit of my background, just a little bit. Because you got to understand my point of view, right? My point of view comes from, one thing that definitely changed the way that I look at, personal growth and personal choice and the way I look at, doing the thing that you don't want to do and how to be comfortable in very uncomfortable situations, which is, trying to lose weight and talking about losing weight and things like that. One thing that shaped it is just being in the Marine Corps, really. My life in general shaped it, but one specific thing was being in the Marine Corps and seeing what I was able to see was, you have a whole, especially in boot camp or just everywhere, you just have a whole melting pot of different people from all over the country go there. So you have all these different types of backgrounds, all these different types of personalities, all these things, right? And they all come together to, do a lot of physical things, especially in boot camp. And then for me, we actually did PT it was horrible. We did PT, which is physical time, running, lifting logs, sprinting up hills, doing long runs or doing circuit workouts or doing obstacle courses. I was involved with 2 battalions throughout one squadron, 1 battalion throughout the whole 4 years. And both of them, both companies I was with, they demanded that PT is a thing that we do every single morning at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. So insane, right? Not every, it is the Marines, but it's one thing that some people don't know is not every company or not every platoon is like that. Some platoons just played football like twice a week, and that was their PT for the week. So I had the unfortunate thing of being involved with that, waking up 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, freezing, to go for a run and all that. Now, doing that exposed me to, again, all these different personality types and what happens when things get kind of crazy and tough. And for myself, I was always able to push through all those. I was able to, thankfully, able to combat any of the negative thoughts that I had or any of the things, any excuses that I was coming up with. I was able to push all that away and always just do my best and usually come out, on top. And with that, again, this is where it kind of, I'm just trying to explain that if you want to blame some of my harshness and brashness, blame it on that, all right? Blame it on the military, blame it on the Marine Corps. That's, a lot more Marines are much more harsh, much more brash. I believe that I am not that way completely, but it can definitely, if you don't know me that well, it can definitely come off as a bit dickish, I guess you'd say, and maybe I am, maybe I'm not. I certainly try not to be, but it can definitely come off that way. So I apologize in advance if I offend anybody or you think I'm coming from a place of malice or anything like that. I am not at all. I just want to go over these things, not to make fun of anybody, not to single out people really, but I just want to talk about these things in an honest way and discuss what I believe is the best way to go about it, right? So let's start. So the first thing, this is the thing that it kind of sparked up in me. Now, one of the first things that they say that, again, you should never say to someone trying to lose weight is, have you tried the blank, blank, blank diet? It worked for me. Now, that seems kind of crazy, okay? That seems, you should never tell somebody, a friend, family member, somebody who asks, you should never say, hey, I tried this diet and it worked for me. That's something you should never say to somebody. I don't get that. They give reasons, right? And I read some of the reasons, and again, I don't think it seems insane to me that should be something that you shouldn't encourage, right? Like, if somebody that you knew did a diet and they found out, like, what if their diet was just, hey, what if they said, hey, have you tried the very balanced diet where they just have you eat a reasonable amount of vegetables and meat? Have you tried that diet? And that, if you're never supposed to say this to somebody, what if they never hear it? And then they go, because their whole thing with this is they think that everybody who says that is saying that from a crash diet. They go, hey, have you tried the beach body diet or whatever, the 7-day get abs diet, all right? Which obviously that's impossible for people who have like 40, 50 pounds to lose. But again, they have these diets. So they're coming from that point. They assume that everybody who would say, have you tried the blank, blank, blank diet? It worked for me. Is completely full of shit. And that's what they're assuming from these people. So I think that this one is insane to say, have you tried that diet? And hey, if you are offended by that, or if you don't like that, I would say, I'm sorry, but that doesn't seem to be a reasonable thought. It's or a reasonable feeling. I think anybody who thinks that that's bad for anybody, if you just assume somebody is coming from like a crazy, I mean, they're also saying it worked for them. So this person is assuming that they're telling you to do a crash diet, and then they're also assuming that they're lying about the fact that it worked for me. Otherwise, why? I mean, so I don't get it. Now, the way that this could maybe, if I could go both sides, the way that this could maybe be bad is if you just go, if somebody's already doing a diet and they've been doing the diet for a couple weeks or several months, and they're seeing modest progress, nothing crazy, which is kind of how it has to be. And then somebody says, hey, have you tried the blank, blank, blank diet? It worked for me. I lost 10 pounds in one day. And this is when you assume that they're talking about a crash diet. That's where it's like, that can throw you off a little bit. If you let it, it can throw you off. Otherwise, you just ask them more questions. Like, somebody could say, hey, have you tried this diet? It worked for me. And you just ask them questions after that. Oh, it did work for you? Oh, for how much weight did you lose? Oh, how long did it work? Is it still working right now? Are other people using it? Where'd you get this diet? So that opens up the discussion to everything. You get to learn more about the diet. You get to learn more about how crazy or right your friend is. And so not saying that to somebody is like, you shouldn't say it to somebody. I don't get that. So that's the first one. So again, I don't agree with some of these. Here's one that I do agree with. They say, but you were fine the way you were. And here's where I don't agree. I'm going to do both sides for a lot of these things. So they say, but you were fine the way you were. You should never say that to somebody who's trying to lose weight. And I kind of agree. I mean, that's kind of a weird thing to say, right? But somebody lost 50 pounds and this person's just looking at you like, but you were fine the way you were. That whoever's saying that is usually coming from a bad place. You got to assess the whole thing, but usually those people are probably somebody who have a little bit of ego. Maybe they feel a little jealousy at all. And so maybe you shouldn't say it to somebody, but I also think maybe we should keep that open. And if somebody wants to say, but you were fine the way you were, you can just kind of take it as jealousy. And maybe that gives you, that's like a kind of like a reverse compliment, right? When you find out somebody's jealous of you because of your progress, that's like them complimenting you. So you're saying that you don't want a compliment from somebody. So I would say to keep that one open. But mainly, you should not say, I mean, that's a pure dick thing to say, but you were fine the way you were. But again, that statement should just roll off your back. Like it should just breeze right past you. Like, oh, this person's kind of crazy. But again, I'm not really for like stopping people from saying things. So that's why I say for a lot of these, let it rip. The next one, number 3, can't you just be happy at the weight you are at? Who is saying these things? And so again, this is another one I agree with. Yeah, I mean, why are you saying that to somebody? There's, this says a lot. These past statements says more about the person saying them than anything, right? If somebody is, again, trying to lose weight or has already lost weight and you come up and talk to them, they say, can't you just be happy at the weight you are at? One, it's a good thought experiment, right? You can come up with a good answer for that because right now there is a huge body positivity movement. And it is like, hey, shouldn't you be happy at the weight you're at? And I agree with that. You should be a happy person at the weight you're at, but you should still push forward to lose the weight if your weight is excessive and a doctor or the BMI index or whatever kind of points you in a different direction than you're going, right? So I would say, again, who's saying these things? Like, this is like something your crazy Aunt Karen or Kathy is saying to you. Like, can't you just be happy at the weight you're at? Like the person who has no job, does nothing all day, and then you come over and cruise over for like a dinner or something, and they're just picking at you, right? So who's saying these things? So that one I agree with. The next one, you look great. Have you lost weight? Now, I would say that this is just like this can be like an awkward conversation that you could start by starting a conversation like this, because somebody could be like, "Oh no, I've actually gained 30 pounds," and then you have to, where do you go from there? And then you talk about, "Oh wow, you gained 30 pounds. Oh, how'd you do that?" Where does that go? So maybe it's not the best sentence that you could say to somebody, right? So I would say generally I kind of agree with that, but also if somebody has clearly lost some weight, I mean, are we not supposed to compliment people? I mean, I think it's reasonable to assume that if somebody has lost 40 pounds and it's clear that they lost 40 pounds, and maybe you saw them, the last time you saw this person was 40 pounds ago, I think I think it's reasonable to conclude that if you say, "Hey, you look great, have you lost weight?" I think it is reasonable to conclude that that person receiving that message would feel a little good about themselves. I think they would be a little bit happier from hearing that if it's, if that's the case. I mean, it I it's hard to imagine somebody hearing that and going through the whole process of losing weight, and then hearing somebody that they haven't seen in a while really notice their progress, and usually what follows that is other praises. So I think the person who would be like, "No, what are you talking about?" and then get mad, and then like, I don't get that. Somebody being mad about somebody telling them, "Hey, you look great. Have you lost weight?" But if you're just saying it to somebody and you don't really know if they lost weight, you can't really tell, hey, probably don't say it. And here's, I shouldn't have read this, so I'm going to read it out loud. So one of their explanations, the beginning of this explanation says, I'll link this down below if you want to read it. "Wait, haven't I always looked," hold on. It says, "Wait, haven't I always looked great?" And I'm not going to get into that today, but there's a scale that people look, people look like shit, people look bad, people look okay, people look all right, people look good, people look pretty good, people look amazing, people look great, people look astonishing. There's a whole scale to work from, right? And depending on somebody's subjective preferences, you might be somewhere along that scale. You might think that you look great, but again, you just think that you look great. I think I look like shit most of the day. I think that's reasonably accurate. But hey, somebody who just catches me from the right angle, maybe they think I look great. But to say to somebody, like, wait, or to conclude, to hear that and then instantly be like, "Wait, haven't I always looked great?" If somebody would say that to me and I knew them, I would say, "No, you haven't." And I would just be upfront with them, right? And if this was a stranger that I haven't met before or something like that, I would still probably try to anger them. Unfortunately, that's just my nature. I would try to anger them and say, "No, you probably haven't." No, just kidding. I wouldn't do that. I might do that. But yeah, that's a weird one to have on a list of the worst things that somebody could say to somebody trying to lose weight. Hey, you look great. Have you lost weight? Oh, you have? You have lost weight? That's amazing. What are you doing? It's working. I mean, and this is all real things. Like if somebody lost 40, 50 pounds, I mean, the person asking this is probably generally interested. And that puts the person who's losing weight in a better position, or just in a position to be able to be like, "Hey, yeah, and this worked for me." What if and that links it back to the person losing weight using the phrase, like, be like, "Yeah, I've actually lost 40 pounds. I tried the blah, blah, blah diet and it worked for me." So now we're in this weird circular kind of thing right now. So yeah, that's a weird one. Moving on to the next one is like the fourth or fifth. and somebody says, "Oh, I tried that and it didn't work for me." Now, this is a problem. This is a problematic kind of statement that you could give to somebody, because again, if somebody is trying to lose weight, they're trying to be on a diet. This is the first time they're on a diet, and you come in there, and really diets, you're not really going to see like huge, like you're. It just takes a while. So if you get in there and you come up to somebody in their second, fourth, sixth week doing a diet, and you say, "Oh, I tried that and it didn't work for me." If you say that to somebody, that could definitely be that moving factor, that little push to push this person away from the diet that they've been trusting and that they've been following every single day for the last 6 weeks, where they're already in a state of mind where they're thinking, is this going to work? Is it not going to work? Is it working? I don't know. I kind of feel better. I don't really feel better. There's a lot of changes going on, and you're just unsure. And then somebody says, "Oh, I tried that and it didn't work for me." You can be like, "Oh, fuck it, I'm done." And then you stop the diet, and then you go into a limbo. You're like, "Oh, I'll find a new diet. But before I find that new diet, I'm going to do a couple cheat days." And then boom, 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 you're off the diet, you're off the wagon, and you're back to your old habits. So that's where this statement could be problematic. And I could see why you would not want to say that to somebody losing weight. And so I would mostly agree with that. And it's also a dickish thing to do as well, because, again, not everybody is the same. And also not everybody puts in the same amount of effort. Just like if you have a friend who you know slacks off all the time, I mean, you already know if they say, "Oh, I tried that and it didn't work for me," you're already thinking in your mind like, yeah, of course it didn't work for you. You probably didn't actually try it. You probably didn't put all your effort into it, because I've never seen you put any effort into anything. But again, to limit somebody from saying that, don't really want to do that. But yeah, I would mainly agree with that. In most circumstances, "Oh, I tried that and it didn't work for me." Most circumstances, that's going to be something you're not going to want to say, unless it's coming from an expert or somebody who has tried a whole bunch of different diets, and they lost 80 pounds and they're sitting 80 pounds lighter and happy, and they already tried the diet that you're currently trying, and they tried a bunch of other diets as well, and they know that those are all bullshit because they tried their best and it didn't work at all. And they're just giving you a little additional information like, hey, if it's not working at all for you, if it's not seeming like it's good, it's because it isn't. All right. So I would say that that's, in those circumstances, you would want that information. You wouldn't want to follow a diet that doesn't really work for 6 weeks. So again, there's two sides to this. I don't think it should be on a list of things to never say, because again, if you have somebody with knowledge telling you it, you would want that information, right? And then here's a weird one. They said, "Are you allowed?" Here's the next statement: is, "Are you allowed to eat that?" So you're at a restaurant, you're getting some food, you're ordering things off the menu, you grab the salad, chicken, or whatever, and your friend looks at you and says, "Are you allowed to eat that?" I don't see what's okay. I can see how it's wrong, and this is how the way I read some of these, and they just put a tone on this. Here's where it says, "Nothing needs to be off limits, and the tone of this question is just very harsh and unnecessary." Are you allowed to eat that? I mean, if the person is sounding like a dick, then yeah, the tone is off and it could be harsh and unnecessary. But I mean, if it's coming from a place of curiosity, if maybe this person's trying to lose weight too, and they're thinking about trying your diet, and they see you order this crazy thing off the menu, and they're like, "Oh, wow, you can eat that on that diet?" And they ask, "Are you allowed to eat that?" You're going to snap back at them and be like, "Your tone is off. It's harsh and unnecessary." Well, this, so again, this statement, I don't get a lot of things on this list. I don't get the automatic. They're just automatically applying this filter of malice from all these things, and such a negative. They think that anytime somebody is talking about losing weight, health, diet, or anything to somebody who's trying to lose weight, they're just assuming that that person is coming from a hateful place, and they're trying to put them down or whatever, which is completely false. It's completely, I mean, it's clear that people, not everybody is like that. Yeah, you're going to come across those people for sure. They're around, especially if you're trying to lose weight and they've been trying to lose weight and they haven't been able to do it. You're going to come across those people. But saying that, assuming that that's the majority of people is just completely wrong. And I believe that's clear for most of us to realize. But yeah, are you allowed to eat that? Again, if it's coming from a dicky place, sure, whatever. Don't say it. I would agree to not say it. But if it's coming from any other place, again, curiosity, I know I would ask that, because if I don't know somebody's diet, but I know they're on a diet and I see them order something off the menu, be like, oh, you're allowed to eat that? Again, it's just curiosity, like, oh, wow, that's great. I mean, you can eat that stuff and it'd be great. One of the circumstances would be like Weight Watchers. I'm sure, because Weight Watchers just goes off points. They don't really say don't. Like, they don't limit anything off any menu, or they don't put any, like the Pazuki or whatever from, where's that place called? BJ's, I think it's called. The Pazuki from BJ's restaurant is on the Weight Watchers program. They have a whole breakdown of the calories and sugars and all of that, and there's a certain point allowed to that. So if you see somebody who's trying to lose weight order 2 Pazukis, and you go, hey, are you allowed to eat that? And they go, yeah, it's actually under my, I'm actually under my my number for the day. So I am actually able to eat these 2, and I might go for a 3rd, and I'll be fine. So that can be a little surprising. So yeah, I think this is just coming from an innocent place of curiosity sometimes, or maybe they're just trying to move the conversation along. I don't know, but it's nothing that should really be taken as harsh and unnecessary, to quote them. Sorry, very harsh and unnecessary. Moving on. Next quote. Well, now you won't be fun anymore. This person's a bitch, right? And I think I gotta stop swearing on this. But well, now you won't be fun anymore. I mean, I do kind of. I gotta agree with this. Again, why would you say that to? I mean, if you gotta read this and be told here on this podcast or reading this article that, hey, you shouldn't tell somebody that, hey, you're not going to be fun anymore. I mean, yeah, you shouldn't say, well, like, they just pick the worst things. I mean, it's insane. So I agree with this one. Well, now you won't be fun anymore. Obviously, don't say that to somebody. But also, just to play the other side, guess what? In some ways, you might not be fun, right? If your friends are used to, if their idea of fun is to go, order a whole bunch of things off the menu and just wash that down with a bunch of beer or wine or whatever, and just spend a whole night eating and drinking to excess, and having dessert, having the whole thing, making a whole night of it, like a marathon of it. Hey, guess what? You might not be fun anymore. All right. So, again, I think your friend telling you that, even though it's from a very weird place, I think that could open up both of you to have a pretty good conversation of what's going on and the changes that are happening. So again, a little wishy-washy with that, but mostly don't say that to somebody. Next one, I can't really tell that you have lost weight. Again, this is a statement that doesn't really need to be said. There's no reason to really say it other than to be kind of a dick about it. So I would say, yeah, I agree. Don't say this to anybody. I was going to go on the other side of it, but I won't. We'll just move past that. Next one, here we are, running off the rails. See, they got a couple good ones that make sense, that clearly make sense. And then they have this one. How much weight did you lose? So if you're a stranger, depending on the situation, how the conversation is flowing, don't ask this, right? I mean, it's just a detail that I think most people should understand, that people might be a little apprehensive to be talking about how much weight they're losing, because then that shows how much weight they were. And if they're not comfortable with talking about that, then it can get very weird. It can make them feel very uncomfortable. So I get it from that perspective. But also, if everything's good to go, and if I'm talking to somebody and this is a happy person, this is somebody that seems to be very open about everything that they're talking about, I would say that if I start talking to this person about dieting and exercising, and they start telling me that they lost a bunch of weight, my next question would probably be like, yeah, hey, how much weight did you lose? Again, these questions don't always come from a place of malice. So you shouldn't always be on the defensive. And if you hear these words, you shouldn't always think that this person is coming at you, because a lot of people don't give a shit about most other people, right? So if you're very self-involved, you can definitely, that's really where this article is coming from. This is coming from a very self-involved type of perspective. So if you are coming from a very self-involved perspective, then you are going to think that everybody's kind of coming at you. You kind of got to rid yourself of that. But asking somebody how much weight did you lose, again, if you don't know the person, it can get a little weird. But if you know the person, hey, have at it, right? This one's messed up. This next one is, I think you looked better, heavier. I mean, you know what? I've actually heard guys say this about girls. It's always a weird thing. It's like, these things just show you more about the people saying them. So if somebody is saying this to you, you should definitely be put on notice that you need to distance yourself from this person as much as possible, because this person is a self-involved person. If they say the words, I think you looked better, heavier, this person's very self-involved. They just want to see you fall. They want to see you down in the muck with them, right? They want to see you depressed, sad. They want, and they maybe not even specifically, they want to see you down with them. They just want to put you one level down below them, right? So, and that's what this person's always going to try to do. So that's clearly one that, again, shouldn't say. Again, you probably shouldn't say that to somebody. Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing. Again, they're thinking from a very self-involved personal thing. Like, yeah, maybe they did think that you look better, heavier, but that's their like personal preference that's just like what they want you to be, regardless of your health or what you want at all. So clearly that's somebody you need to get away from. Next one, have you ever tried eating less? Again, this is a dick statement to say to somebody, but what if somebody is sitting there talking to you about their dieting habits, and they're saying that they're trying the juice cleanse, they're trying all these other different crazy diets that don't really tell you to eat less, to just eat less? Then the statement could be like, hey, have you tried eating less? Because the whole way that you lose weight is to be in a caloric deficit, so you have to eat less. So that's if you were to give the most generous, if you were to give this, whoever says this, if you were to give them the most generous place that they're coming from, if you were to be generous to them, maybe they can mean that. But most of the time, if they say, hey, have you ever tried to eat less or eating less? I mean, this is something that you hear from some drunk douche at the bar who's just talking smack to you because you said that you won't go and dance with them or something, or you won't have a drink from them. So yeah, that's obviously one that's like, no, get away from people who are talking to you like that. So I agree with that. Next one, you will probably gain this weight back just like you did the last time you were on a diet. This is so messed up. So this next one, you will probably gain this weight back just like you did the last time you were on a diet. It's just messed up on so many levels. And this is, again, where I kind of agree with them. They say right here, if someone is saying something passive aggressive, negative, or paying backhanded compliments, try not to take it personally. This is about them projecting their insecurities onto you, and it's no reflection on you. Michaels says. Whoever Michaels is, this is just from the article. But yeah, I agree with you on that. And look at that. That's the 12th one. So again, some of these are good, some of these are bad. You know, when it comes to talking to people who are trying to lose weight, talking about their weight, the things that they should do, shouldn't do, you know, it does have to be, it should be handled carefully a little bit, right? Because not everybody, you know, I could be super brash and super harsh and just, you know, paint a clear line and be like, you can either be on this side of this argument or you can be on this side of this argument. But that works for some people. Some people like that direct brashness. They like that, the real talk, as I say. Other people need a little bit, you know, a little bit of fluff, a little bit of, you know, some gray area. You know, most of life is in the gray area, and not everybody gravitates to black and white, to perfect dichotomies or anything like that. So that's where I think that, yeah, if you're talking to somebody about losing weight, you shouldn't just always automatically go to a brash state, or you shouldn't even say anything at all, right? I mean, that's another option. Not everybody should be saying something to somebody who's trying to lose weight, or, you know, you kind of have to take that as a case-by-case basis. You know, even before today's, like, weight climate, it was always kind of a weird thing to talk about, a weird thing to say. I know it's always a weird thing with me. I've always been, you know, relatively in shape. I did a short stint where I wasn't in shape. But there's a weird thing that I noticed, you know, just hanging out with people, is especially if I was hanging out with a new person that I didn't really know that well. And for me, you know, I'm not out there telling. The only time you'll hear me tell anybody to lose weight or how to lose weight or anything like that is really through this channel, right? I don't go out and, you know, I'm not standing on a milk carton yelling at people, hey, you should lose weight and you should do this. That's not who I am. But I've noticed it's a pattern that I've noticed. This is why I'm bringing it up. Where I'd notice if I was with somebody who is maybe a little bit heavier, right? And it's always a weird thing. This is specifically with just dudes, really, almost all the time. Is if I'm with somebody that I don't really know and they're a little bit overweight or they're very overweight, there's kind of a contrast, right? It's a contrast that I don't pay attention to, right? But some men, a lot of men, get very insecure about the difference, right? And, you know, this is just, and so what usually happens is, like, usually this goes around, like, be playing pool. And I'm trying to word this, I'm trying not to sound like a dick. But we'd be playing pool, just shooting the shit, talking, whatever. But what would happen eventually, at some point, is this overweight person would bring up losing weight, right? And they would bring it up. It wouldn't be me talking anything about losing weight or anything like that. And for some reason, they would just it would always happen. They would just say something about their weight or say something about the diet they're about to start or their exercise program that they're about to start. And yeah, so those conversations I forgot where I was going with that. But it is weird talking to, like, talking to people about losing weight. I would say, like, a general rule for strangers, like at a bar, you shouldn't be going around telling people they should lose weight or really how to lose weight. Or, I mean, you can talk about things that worked for you and whatever else, But stranger to stranger, at a bar or hanging out or whatever, I mean, why are you talking about that, right? Why are you telling somebody to lose weight, generally in front of a bunch of different people? It's usually not the way to go. So I would discourage any of that. I think if you're gonna have somebody go and talk to somebody else about losing weight, it should come from a family member, friend, spouse, people closest to them. If they think that things are getting a little out of control, right? And again, that's another weird area. But for some people it has to happen. Some people need a couple pushes here and there. Some people need a couple seeds planted here and there. So if you are somebody who's looking to go out there and talk to people about losing weight, I guess tread lightly. Stick to this list a little bit. If you notice that you're saying some of these messed up things, stop saying them. But yeah, I see both sides, right? I see that, hey, maybe you should just stick to your own business. Again, strangers should always stick to your own business. But if we're to talk about family members, friends, spouses, people close to these people who possibly need to lose weight, yeah, there's an argument to say that you should stick to your business, and then there's an argument to say that you shouldn't. So, and I see both sides. I see the side on sticking to your business because, the person who needs to lose weight knows that they need to lose weight. And you adding on could send them into just more of a panic state or more of a depressive state. That could last for however long, right? They could be having a good day and then you just screw up their entire day. So I can see the problem with that. But I can also see that maybe if somebody doesn't realize, I was reading an article or watching a podcast of somebody who said she was surprised at how much weight that she actually had to lose. Like she weighed a certain amount of weight, and then when she went into the doctor or whatever, and they said, hey, you got to lose this much. She's like, what? Like she didn't realize that she was that overweight. And so that's obviously an issue. So that's where I would say, hey, again, some people maybe don't really, they don't know or they don't want to know the extent of their current issue at hand. So maybe somebody else, family member, spouse, friend, maybe somebody else just saying like, hey, something, just bringing it up, see where it goes. Maybe that could be the thing that pushes them over, be like, hey, maybe I should, take a look at this, right? Friends, family members, spouses, they want to help you out. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. I probably went way too long on that. Yeah, I did. All right, so let's end this off with the Fit Freak of the Week. This person is Claire P. Thomas. She's a fitness trainer. Her slogan is work hard and be nice to people. Okay, so nothing to complain about that. That's a good slogan to have. She's got some guides for you. She's got some training programs, I'm sure. But she is killing it. She is a beast. You can see her out here running. So here you go. She got some sprint workouts for you. As you can see, Claire is, very fit person, running well. She almost looks like a CrossFit athlete or something like that. I'm sure she probably is. But yeah, looks like a mother. And again, I want to show you somebody who is just out there, focusing on their body. And Claire is clearly focusing on her body. She has good control. She's a very strong person. She's got better abs than most men out there, most women out there. She's just killing it. She could probably strangle me to death. I'm not sure. Who knows? But yeah, go follow Claire P. Thomas. I'm sorry, but it just got very hot in here. I'm getting hot. And that's that's this week's episode, all right? It's too hot for me, okay? All right, so yeah, that's this week's episode. It's episode 31. Check out Britta and the Beast for the Fit Fighter of the Week. Go check out that article if you want to see some things that were written there. Don't get too mad at me. Again, I'm trying to come from a place of, I'm not coming from a place of malice. But go check out that article. Check out Claire P. Thomas if you want to see the Fit Freak of the Week. And if you want to join the new membership program, go to liftrunstretch.com and sign up. $10 a month if you want to support me, support the channel, support what I'm trying to do here. Go check that out. Other than that, I will see you next week.